What's up, peeps? Nick Battle, aka Nino's Corner, man. First off, if you like this content that is coming your way, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. It means a lot, guys. And if you're listening to this on the podcast and not watching this on YouTube, hey, go give me a 5-star comment, review, a like, something. It means a lot. It helps the channel grow. You guys have been with me for a long time, man, and I appreciate you guys for staying with me. But first off, guys, let's give a shout out to the sponsor, man. So guess what, folks? Support for the Ninos Corner podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, folks, the 4.0. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with its exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code NinosCorner at manscaped.com. Again, the code NinosCorner at manscaped.com. And guys, if you take a look at there, it's the promo code there, 20% off Ninos Corner at manscaped.com. But today, guys, also shameless plug for my clothing line, guys, NinosCornerMerch.com, 10% off using the code NCPeeps10 at NinosCornerMerch.com. But enough of that, guys. Today, we're going to talk about the Texas offensive line and the woes that we have on this offensive line, folks. So this is the Where's the Beef episode, man. Anybody knows about Where's the Beef? That's the old Wendy's commercials, from back in the day. Maybe I'm dating myself a little bit. But let's talk about the Texas offensive line woes. Folks, I did a little bit of research here, and I was able to look at the Texas offensive line recruiting over the last 5 years. Now, I also did this research here, not only for Texas, but the rest of the Big 12. And I also did the SEC, like for some bonus points here, because that is the conference that we're going to at the latest by 2025, to see where Texas racks and stacks when it comes to the offensive line recruiting. Guys, this is not going to be great information for everybody. Over the last 5 years, from 2017 to 2021, Texas has recruited and had 18 offensive line recruits that committed. And that's not only recruiting classes from 2017 to 2021, that also includes transfers into the program. I think the transfer into the program from that time frame, from 17 to 21, was Parker Braun, who came from Georgia Tech, all ACC, I think, twice in a row. Guess what, guys? That is not a good number, 18. Out of that, and in the Big 12, we are tied dead last in the Big 12 with Kansas for the least amount of committed offensive linemen for that 5-year span from 2017 to 2021. Guys, we understand that Steve Sarkisian basically said that he came to Texas because he did not think this was going to be a complete rebuild. He might be rethinking that. This might be a complete rebuild. But let's take a look at the top teams here in the Big 12. Baylor, top. They had 25 offensive line recruits from that same period of time. OU, 24 offensive linemen. And the next person in the Big 12 was Texas Tech with 21, Iowa State with 21 as well. And then it goes down the line. TCU had, I think, 19. Kansas State, 19. Texas and Kansas rounded at the bottom, 18. So let's take a look at the top 2 teams there, guys. Baylor and OU. Now, I know people are saying, well, how can you say anything about Baylor? They haven't been that good lately in the past 5 years. Yes and no. Well, first, let's get to OU. OU had 24 recruits. We know what OU's done here in the past 5 years. Actually, OU has won 6 straight Big 12 championships. Baylor, have they won Big 12 championships? No, they haven't. Have they been great over that time period? No, they haven't. Matter of fact, Baylor, if I'm not mistaken here, if we take a look at the numbers, their win percentage is only 500, which racks and stacks when it comes to the Big 12 over that same time period. Baylor's win percentage is it's actually pretty low. It is the 10th, 9th. It's the 8th best in the Big 12, but you can't look at that, guys. What you got to look at too when it comes to Baylor is Baylor has had 2 coaching turnovers here in that same time frame. Baylor has played for a Big 12 championship, and also Baylor has been able to rebuild very quickly over this 5-year span. And so when you look at Baylor and what Baylor has done in that 5-year span with those 25 offensive line recruits, is Matt Rule comes in. I think they won only 1 game the first year. The second year they went 7-6. The third year, he won 11 games and he bounces to the NFL. Now, Coach Aranda comes in the COVID year, and I'll say, hey, in the COVID year, his team only won, I think, one game the whole year. And now they've only lost one game. They're 7-1 right now, or 6-1 or 7-1. So you can look at when you see that you have the trenches shored up, especially on the offensive side of the ball, you can implement the offense that you want to because, hey, you can't run as a running back without a good offensive line. You can't pass as a quarterback without a good offensive line. Your receivers cannot get open without a good offensive line, folks. Says a lot that Texas is only able to get 18. Now let's dig a little bit deeper into that number. Yes, 18 recruits, 18 commits, including transfers. So basically 17 commits minus the transfer. And out of those 17 commits, folks, on the team right now, we only have, let me see, we had 4 transfer, and that was Willie Tyler. He transferred. He went from here to Syracuse. Now he's at Louisiana Monroe. Samuel Cosme, he got drafted. He's the only one who was draft eligible who got drafted. Let's see who else is on the team. Mike Grandy had a medical retirement, so he retired as of 2018. The next guy, Javon Shepherd, who many of us had high hopes for, perfect size, perfect combination for a tackle. He couldn't hack it here, I think, for the grades. Now he's in JUCO if he's playing football at all. Reese Moore, he transferred, and I think he's playing at Abilene Christian. And we had one more person who graduated, and that's Parker Braun. Parker Braun graduated. So that is, if I'm not mistaken, it's at 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 guys out of those 18. So only 13 are left here as a scholarship players over that 5-year span, which is nothing, absolutely nothing. And so people want to say, well, you got to get high quality guys. That is true. You have to get high quality offensive linemen. But offensive linemen, everybody understands, offensive lineman is one of those positions that is one of the hardest to grade. So you just need a lot of bodies. You need a lot of bodies that can compete against each other. You need a lot of guys who are big, fast, and strong who can compete against each other, iron sharpen iron, and let the best one start. Think about this for a minute. If I take a look at the average composite score from 247 Sports and look at the highest ranked recruit and the lowest ranked recruit over that 5-year time frame. So out of the 18 guys there, the highest ranked recruit is Tyler Johnson, 0.9722, redshirt sophomore. He had 1 start in the Alamo Bowl last year, and he hasn't started since. He's our highest ranked recruit, a high 4-star guy. Our lowest recruit was Willie Tyler in 2019 with a 0.8367 ranking, so a 3-star recruit. And our second lowest guy was Samuel Cosme at 0.8396, a 3-star recruit who is now in the NFL. So that goes to show you this isn't true all the time. But what this does go to show you is that in the offensive line room is one of the hardest positions to evaluate. This is an opportunity to get bodies, get big, physical, strong, fast, quick twitch bodies, and let them do their thing, and everything's going to shake out. Okay. And that hasn't been the case here at Texas. All right. We haven't had enough bodies here to actually start. What we have had here is we have tried to have a bunch of guys who had a potential to have a bunch of upside. That's what a Samuel Cosme was. He's a guy that has a lot of upside. Andre Carrick, he's a guy that has a lot of upside. Okay, these are upside guys. Christian Jones, it's an upside guy. When you go and take a look at the metrics for the other teams, meaning like the Alabamas and the OUs, yes, they do have guys who have high upside, but they also have guys who are so talented and who are so can't miss that their floor is better than the potential upside of a guy like Samuel Cosme, right? Their floor is better than the upside of a guy like Samuel Cosme. Okay, just think about that for a minute. So that's what they're working with. That's what the teams who are doing their thing, doing great jobs at recruiting at the offensive line are working with. They are working with guys whose floors are greater than the upside of a Samuel Cosme or Connor Williams, who's another 3-star guy who came here to Texas, who ended up getting drafted and plays for the Cowboys now. So you got to recruit along the offensive line to succeed. And like I said, guys, let's just talk about that Baylor situation again. People want to say, well, Nino, you can't say that. You can't say that. Yes, you can. Baylor, over a 5-year span, has had complete rebuilds and has complete rebuilds where their team has had new leadership with the same talent that was given to them from the previous coach and was able to completely rebuild that team within 3 years with Matt Rule. Took that team to 11 wins in 3 years before going to the NFL. And Dave Aranda has taken that team from winning 1 game last year in a COVID season to actually winning, say, 7-1 right now. So they had 2 complete rebuilds in a 5-year span. All right. Just think about that. 2 complete rebuilds, new coaching regimes, everything, 2 complete rebuilds. You want to know why? Because they have shored up the position in the offensive lines and also the defensive lines. Haven't done the analysis on the D line, but that's going to be coming soon after this video drops, maybe next week. So I go all that to say, guys, Texas, we're going to the SEC in 2025. So let's take a look at, 2025 at the latest. Could be 2023. But let's take a look at the offensive line recruiting for the Big 12 teams compared to the SEC teams. And primarily, let's just look OU in Texas compared to the rest of the SEC teams and look at just the sheer number of players that are recruited along the offensive line. Baylor tops that list, 25. Okay. OU second in line, 24. No coincidence why OU has 24 and they're always winning championships. They have a bunch of bodies that they can throw at that offensive line position. Okay. Next is Texas A&M, 24. We saw what Texas A&M did last year. We saw that they beat Alabama this year, and they're rolling pretty good. They're a top 15 team here in the country. The next one's kind of fun in this list, and that's Vanderbilt. So that kind of throws the metric all out, but look at Georgia, 23. Okay. Florida, 23. Okay. Mississippi State, 22. South Carolina, 22. Alabama, 21. Now, look, let's take a look at Alabama and Georgia. All right. That's 21 over 5 years. So that means that they're taking over four guys each class over a 5-year period for Alabama. And Georgia's taking almost 5 a class. And you look at a team like Texas is taking around 3 a class. Okay. So when you think about that 1 extra person in the class is 5 extra that's 5 extra commits over a 5-year span. Georgia, that's 2 extra recruits a class over Texas. That's 10 extra offensive line bodies in an offensive line room on scholarship than Texas has over that 5-year span. So when you go and look at the cupboard and you go and look at, I got 18 guys in this room, all right, and I got 24 in this room, right? Or I got 15 and 25. Now, Texas really has 13 from those 5 years compared to Georgia's 24, 25. I mean, it's apples and oranges. You have more to pick from. You have more depth. You have more opportunities to see who is going to be the best opportunity to start. And you don't just have to roll out who you got because that's all you got, right? So, but if you're going to have low numbers, for instance, like in Alabama only had 21, which is not a low number. That's over 4 offensive line recruits a year, which I think is what you should be striving for. So at least get 4, especially at a big time school. But Alabama's average rating when it comes to offensive line recruiting, the average 247 composite score is 0.937. Second on this list compared to Georgia, 0.94347. So 0.943 for Georgia, 0.937, basically a 0.94 for Alabama. OU, 0.906, so 0.91. And then also LSU, 0.905. So 0.91 basically. Those are the top 4 teams that have an average rating when it comes to the 247 composite. That is the average rankings. Georgia, followed by Alabama, followed by OU, followed by LSU. Those 4 teams, guess what all 4 of those have in common? They've all played in the college football playoffs. Every last one of them. Guess what 2 out of those 4 have in common? They have won national championships. Alabama has won a national championship. I think 2 over that 5-year span. LSU has won 1. Guess what else happened in that time frame? I think Georgia played for a national championship during that time frame, right? But they have definitely been in the college football playoffs. And If not, they were always in a New Year's Six bowl. So hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You're seeing exactly why it's important to shore up the trenches. You're seeing exactly why. Because your talent is in the trenches. It allows your other talent to shine. It allows your quarterback to shine. It allows your wide receivers to get open because your quarterback has more time. It allows your running back to have decent sized holes to run through. It's exactly what you need for a program. Now, let's talk about Texas and their offensive line woes again. Like I said, guys, Texas had 18 scholarship recruits between 2017 and 2021, tied dead last with Kansas. Whoo, think about that for a minute, folks. With Kansas. So, Texas fans, I'm a Texas grad, hook them. Horns up all day long. However, Texas fans, we can't put ourselves in the ranks of Alabama and Georgia and OU. You just can't. Alone based on the offensive line recruiting, and the team records. Basically, when you take a look at the information, Texas is on par with a team like Kentucky. Think about that for a minute. Texas is on par with a team like Kentucky. Texas, over the last 5 years, is Kentucky. Okay? Meaning that Kentucky had, I don't know, let's take a look. Kentucky had 19 offensive line recruits, 62% win percentage, 36 wins and 22 losses over that time frame. Guess who else had a similar record? Texas, 36 and 22, the exact same record, 18 offensive line recruits. Right now, if Texas line up against Kentucky would probably smash us right now. Okay? Other teams in the SEC that Texas looks like when it comes between the offensive line recruiting, Auburn, they're 39 and 20. They got 3 more wins than us and 2 fewer losses. 17 offensive line recruits. Okay? 17 and 18, not a big difference. But that's what Texas is. If Texas doesn't shore up their offensive line and potentially the defensive line, which I will have that recruiting analysis done here pretty soon as well, we will become a second-rate team in this state. And especially going to the SEC, we've got to shore up those offensive lines. Oh, hey, full service agreement here. I have all confidence in Coach Sarkisian. I think Coach Sarkisian is going to pull this off. I do. I think he's going to be an awesome coach here. I think it's going to be very great for the program. But what Texas needs to realize is that we got to pull a bunch of numbers here, a bunch of big bodies, physical, fast. You got to go get, Campbell. You got to get Dewberry. You got to try to get Banks and Cam Williams. You got to try to lure these guys as much as possible to come here. Because not only do you have to stack the talent, you got to get that talent that can be able to start eventually. Not now, because if you're starting freshmen now, I think that's the problem here at Texas, is we've had to rely on true freshmen to start. Like, for instance, looking at the starters here at Texas over that 5-year time frame. If we look at the number of starts per player. So Derek Kerstetter, he's a senior. He's been here since 2017, guys. So let's take a look. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21. This is his 5th year, okay? Usually you don't have a lot of 5th-year offensive linemen playing. 5th-year offensive lineman means you didn't get drafted in after your 4th year. You didn't get drafted after being in the indie program for 3 years. That's what 5th-year offensive linemen are. The guys that aren't draft worthy, who people don't have a high grade on to come out of college football, especially at a big program like Texas. The next guy on the list, so basically Derek Kerstetter has led the lead here with 44 starts for this team because he's been here for, forever. He's been here for 5 years. Samuel Cosme, he was 2017, 2018, 2019. Left, got drafted in the 2021 draft. He had 34 starts. Okay. The next guy on the list is Junior Angelow, 30 starts. He's a redshirt junior here. So he's been in the program 4 years. Okay. Maybe he can get drafted next year. He's not going to get drafted this year. So these are I'm not going to say non-draftable guys, but as of right now, these guys aren't draft eligible guys. Christian Jones, he's a redshirt junior. He's been in the program. This is his 4th year, 18 starts. Okay. Parker Braun, who started 13 games. He was a grad transfer here out of Georgia Tech. The next guy, Jake Majors, 10 starts, true sophomore. Jake Majors is a guy who should, if he were any other program, any other big time program, Jake Majors should be sitting, getting groomed to get ready to play center for this team next year or the year after next, probably next year. But he would be getting ready to play, not playing. He would be sitting, soaking up game right now, like the Brockemeyer twins are doing in Alabama. The Brockemeyer twins would be starting here at Texas this year. I think we all know it. But the Brockemeyer twins are at Alabama right now, sitting, getting stronger, learning technique, letting somebody else who's going to get drafted in front of them play for a year or two, and then they're going to step in and play for a year or two and get drafted. It's a factory. That's what you want the offensive line to look like and do at your program. You shouldn't have Jake Major starting as a true freshman at a Power 5 school, especially a blue blood program like Texas. Andre Carrick, he's a redshirt freshman. This is his second year. He has 2 starts under his belt right now. Andre Carrick is another guy who needs to sit and learn and let the game speed come to him, get more physical, get stronger, and then come out and be a menace. But he's not ready right now. All right. We've played Hayden Conner as well. He's a true freshman. Hayden Conner should not be on the field right now, guys. He should be a guy, and we're screaming for him to get in the field because that's how bad our offensive line play has been. We have to allow a guy like Hayden Conner to basically be groomed, sit, get stronger, learn technique, let the game slow down for him, let him make mistakes in practice, not in games, to get your quarterback blown up. And this is nothing bad against Hayden Conner or Andre Carrick. It's not their fault. It's not their fault that this team did not stack the offensive line position so that they can be able to sit, learn, absorb, get stronger. And that's what this program needs right now. And we don't have it. We just don't have it right now. So how does Texas fix this problem, folks? Texas can fix this problem in 2 ways. They got to recruit lights out over these next recruiting cycles. They got to, get everybody. Use NIL to get everybody for this next recruiting class, 22 and 23. You got to get Campbell. You got to try to get Dewberry, and you got to try to get Banks and Cam Williams to come from Oregon back to home to Texas so their mama can see him play every weekend. You got to let that happen. You got to try to go get those guys. But you also, as Texas, you got to go hit the portal hard this year for the next year, for 2022 and 2023. You got to hit the portal hard. You got to scavenge and scour every team that has a Texas player that didn't come to Texas, that's not getting any playing time now, or that's good enough to play, but that's sit behind somebody who's draft eligible. You got to go get those guys right now and tell them, hey, you're a sophomore or junior in college right now. Come to Texas. This is your 3rd year, and have the opportunity to start and build the program with some quality players and quality depth. Even if it's a grad transfer, you can get some instant production. Look at Calvin Anderson, who came from Rice, of all places, Rice. He came in here and he shored up the left tackle position at Texas when he came here. He's playing with the Denver Broncos right now because he was a draft eligible player. I don't think he got drafted, but he was an undrafted free agent. He's now on a roster with the Broncos. The guy that came from Rice, who helped shore up that left side, protected Sam, right? He protected Sam. Okay. So, hey guys, we have got to do better on the offensive line recruiting. Like I said, the difference with us and other teams that are blue blood programs that are very successful right now is that we've been forced to recruit based on the upside because we just have not gotten the guys who are the 5-star and high 4-star guys to come to the school. And so we have played guys with high upside, but lower floors than what we need to compete to win games here. Not just to compete for championships. Let's just screw championships right now. Let's talk about just win games consistently. So that's what makes the teams like Bama's and the teams like Georgia's and the OU's. That's what makes them them. It's because some of their lowest ranked offensive linemen have floors that are greater than the upside of the projects that Texas is banking on saving them week in and week out. And you cannot rely on a true freshman or a true sophomore to save you. Those are very, very rare instances, for kids to come in as an offensive lineman and save a team. So yeah. So if we look at just analysis and where Texas will fall in the SEC right now, okay? So Texas falling in the SEC. Texas and OU go to the SEC, gives them 16 teams, right? 16 teams. And I already told you guys where Texas would fall when it comes to the offensive lineman. They're Kentucky in the SEC. They're Kentucky. Texas is Kentucky. And we're not talking about basketball, folks. If I said Texas basketball, something like Kentucky basketball, you'd be like, woohoo. That's not it. We're talking Texas football. It's on par with Kentucky football right now. Same exact records, almost the same number of offensive line recruits. It's not rocket science, folks. It's not. You'll have a good year every now and then, but it's not sustainable because all the stars have to align for you to have a decent season. Our best season was the 10-win season where we went 10-4 that year, right? We played in the Big 12 championship, lost to OU, and then beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans. But we had to fight and claw to get 10 wins that year. It's the best year we've had since Mac left. All right. So if we look at the average offensive lineman composite recruiting score in the Big 12 right now, we're ranked number 2. All right. If we were to go in the SEC right now, we would rank number 9 out of 16. We wouldn't even be in the top half of the average offensive line composite recruiting score in the SEC. Let me tell you how the teams we would be behind. This is kind of when you look at this is kind of alarming. It's kind of alarming. But it's very kind of alarming, guys. So the 8 teams that would be ahead of Texas in the SEC: Georgia, Alabama, OU when they go to the SEC, LSU, Florida, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Auburn, and then Texas. Texas would be number 9 out of 16. They're number 2 in the Big 12, but they'd be number 9 out of 16 in the SEC if Texas and OU were to go to the SEC tomorrow. That is the difference between Big 12 play and SEC play. It's the trenches. And we just got mollywopped and manhandled by Arkansas not too long ago. And they don't get the recruits that Texas gets. But they do recruit really well along the offensive line. And they recruit at a massive amount compared to Texas. Another 4 recruits than what Texas has recruited over that 5-year span. 4 more. If Texas had 4 more guys in the offensive line room on scholarship, think about how much of a difference that would make here. It would make a ton of difference. We had 4 more quality offensive linemen that we could pick from. It will make a huge difference. And we see what Arkansas was able to do. You saw that Arkansas had a guy, I think they said he came in at 250 pounds. Now he's 320 pounds, and he mauled us all day long in the trenches against us when we went up to Fayetteville. Yeah. That's kind of a shout out to Arkansas because they really did kill us. So, like I say, guys, we would be second to last in offensive line recruiting when it comes to this overall number and sheer number of offensive line recruits if we went to the SEC. The last place would be Auburn, and then we would be, I think they were at 17, and we would be at 18. So we'd be second to last over a 5-year span right now if we were in the SEC. So that is a recipe for disaster. So, guys, what I'm trying to say here is, man, I know everybody wants to go to the SEC right now. They want to get out of the Big 12. Yeah. Hey, guys, let's not make that happen right now. I don't think we're ready. And I think you guys know that we're not ready either. We need to shore up the offensive line, do what we have to do as a school, as a program. We got to shore up that offensive line. We got to start building beef in the trenches at the offensive line position to make our offense run smoothly and where it needs to go. So I know it's a lot I threw at you guys. 30 minutes of talking offensive line. Woo, woo, woo. Very successful, right? So, man, on that note, man, do you, man. Don't be afraid to fail. Outgrow your environments. Understand your brilliance, man. Let's build up the trenches. build up the trenches, man. Also, guys, like I said before, 20% off promo code NinosCorner at manscaped.com. Go get the products, man. 20% off. Use the code. Also, NinosCorner merch, man. 10% off using code NCPeeps10 at NinosCornermerch.com. And on that note, man, again, where's the beef? Texas offensive line woes. Texas tied for dead last in the Big 12 with 18 offensive line recruits over a 5-year span, tied with Kansas. Let that sink in for a minute. The only thing I want to be tied with in Kansas in the Big 12 is in basketball. Nothing to do with football. And we've managed to tie Kansas at something in football. Things that make you go, Sorry, guys, man. I'm out, man. Nino's Corner, out. Peace.